Hey guys, I'm Gary the Gremlin, but I can't deal with that now because I just watched Jurassic World Rebirth. How, you ask, so innocently? Well, there's a little magic thing called AMC theaters. I had to drive 30-ish minutes to go to this because I don't have an AMC really near me. But AMC had a special screening thing they call their secret screening. And they'll show a movie early or they'll just show a random movie. I'd heard about this before in the past. One of my friends went and saw it and he told me about it, where he went during Halloween, where they just have random screenings that they won't tell you what it is. It's like a blind box, you know? You go and you just pay $6 and you watch a random movie. He happened to see John Carpenter's The Thing, which is a great movie you should go watch. I started to suspect a couple days ago that the secret screening set for 7 o'clock yesterday, the 23rd, was going to be Jurassic World Rebirth. There was a slightly cryptic video posted to the Universal socials, and then there was just a lot of details that started to line up. The runtime for the movie listed on the secret screening was 2 hours and 14 minutes, which happened to be the same runtime as Jurassic World Rebirth. And then there was also information like, the US premiere of the movie was 7 o'clock on the 23rd, New York time zone. And that's also happened to be the same time that this AMC secret screening was. A lot of things were connecting. Like the 3 horns of a triceratops. These 3 points came together, like the Illuminati. Went with my girlfriend, and we happened to be right. It was Jurassic World. For a second there, I was really scared we were going to end up watching Megan 2.0 early. But I wanted to film a quick and nice review to answer some of y'all's questions, because, I'm kind of in a middle ground as a reviewer goes, where, my usual fare is action figures, but I also like movies. I'd like to review movies. So this is not quite red letter media, but it's not going to be, what's those other guys? They go like frame by frame to knock out every little Easter egg. It's not going to be like that. I don't like that. This will just be Gary the Gremlin rambles for maybe 25 minutes. So I'm ancient. I've got a notepad. Jurassic World Rebirth. AMC theaters, check. Secret screening, check. Afraid of Megan 2.0, check. These are just all my thoughts I wrote down last night after watching the movie. So we're going to go non-spoiler first, and then we'll give a break where you can stop vacuuming or stop pooping and whatever you're doing, go turn off your TV if you don't want to have spoilers. I'll try to stay spoiler-free as much as I can in this section, but bear in mind that I'm just going to try to talk about like what was in the trailers, I don't think we're going to pass that level of spoilers. If it was prominent in the trailers, you can expect me to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the D-Rex. I'm going to talk about stuff like that because, we all know that's there. If you're trying to go complete cold turkey without knowing anything about it, why would you click on this video? And good God, do not go to the comment section. I'll be answering comments. Don't go there, okay? Go away. Go watch my Mattel playlist. Like, comment, and subscribe. I want you. We're going to get to 30,000 and then we're going to take over the moon. It's going to be amazing. But first, we're going to review Jurassic World Rebirth. First, it was good and fun. It was a fun movie. It was not exhausting like Dominion, which is great. That's a wonderful thing that I actually enjoyed watching it. For me, it's always tough to place a movie right after you see it. I would say, for me at least, though, it's better than the World trilogy. It feels very in line with Jurassic Park, almost to the point that I'm confused they didn't just call this Jurassic Park Rebirth. That would have made more sense from a Rebirth title, right? Jurassic Park Rebirth, Jurassic World Rebirth. I know Jurassic World is the name for everything now, but Jurassic Park Rebirth, it would have made more sense. Because this movie, in most ways, some good and some bad, it felt very much like a Jurassic Park movie. There was, it's the simple thing of You know, Jurassic Park, the 1993 one, is an amazing film. It's a great film. The sequels to it, not so much. They're just contrived ways to get people to go to a dinosaur island. And that's very much what this one is like. It is, how do we get some people to a dinosaur island? And I would also say it feels very obvious which characters are going to die, which was kind of, an annoying thing for me. I don't like having, the movie spelled out from the start. That kind of ruins it. And there's 2 or 3 characters that do not appear in any of the trailers. And you're like, oh, I wonder who's going to be torn to bits by a dinosaur. And I wonder if it's going to be, an Oscar-winning actor or a guy who I've never seen in a TV show before. Who's it going to be? That's a little frustrating. It has a much slower pace. It takes its time trying to set up the characters, which kind of works, kind of doesn't. I really connected to the character of Jonathan Bailey, the dino nerd who gets to experience real dinosaurs in the wild for the first time. That was nice. He felt like a kind of reworked version of Dr. Richard Levine from the Jurassic Park, The Lost World novel, Michael Crichton's novel. But instead of like cocky and self-assured, they make him like a little scared, a little cowardly, but he kind of goes through a little bit of a character arc through the movie. ScarJo, she just kind of is the same the whole movie. They tried to give her a bunch of like character motivation, and it just kind of doesn't come off, Even Mahershala Ali's character, what's his name? Duncan Kincaid has like a lot more character motivation to him that is just like less obvious and a lot more subtle. That's just better than Zora Bennett. It's kind of whatever. They really spend their time trying to set up the characters though, and a lot of it feels not interesting. A lot of it feels very blatant, like, okay, we're setting up the characters so that maybe they can die, Yeah. There is a lot of humor in the film. This is maybe the Jurassic film that is trying the most to just be funny. I feel like the first one is funny, but it's not funny in like they're telling quips or whatever. It's, there's a matter-of-fact smartness to that movie that makes it funny. There's not in this one. This one has extended and unfunny comedy bits that really start to, they grind at you. They wane on you. There's this one running joke that is really unfunny that I think they only do it twice, but it feels so painful because it's product placement. They just shove a product in there, and it's so painful. It's so rough. And it doesn't even make sense in the context of the movie. It feels almost like a bit from like Saturday Night Live. We're gonna stay spoiler free, okay? It's pretty much the same scenario as Jurassic Park 1, when Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler see a Brachiosaurus, a living dinosaur, for the first time in their life, and they're amazed. And Alan is on his knees. It's like if 20 seconds of that played, the Brachiosaurus rears up, and then Alan Grant went, "Hey Ellie, do you want a Snickers bar? Why don't you try a Snickers bar, Ellie?" And then it cut back to him crying. It's that level of like stupid that they just have a random like product placement that's trying to be a gag. That's like, you don't need that. I get, product placement pays for the movie, and Universal has its debts it has to pay, I'm sure. But just find a different time for it. Put it in a gas station scene. Put it in an earlier scene. There is, because they're on the dinosaur island, there's not much product placement you can put in the jungle. But they really milk the time that we are on the mainland in New York. And they really milk that gas station scene for all the Doritos, Snickers, Altoids, so much product placement in this movie. It's a little painful just because it feels so ham-fisted. That's a roughly minor thing, you know, in scope. Like, it sounds minor, but it really does a big thing to kind of ruin the tone of the movie, where it makes it feel a lot more disingenuous. Especially with, you know, remember the Ceratosaurus scene in Jurassic Park 3, where it's kind of just like a little unfunny. I mean, it's unfunny, but it's also just a little like awkward, and it's like, why is there like a poop joke about a dinosaur in this movie? Because the first movie, there's poop in it, but it's like, it's kind of funny and it's smart about it, right? But it's like if that scene, the Ceratosaurus scene, it's like that scene is in Rebirth like 4 times. Or you have like a genuinely scary dinosaur moment or something that is ruined by the movie like treating it as a joke. Rebirth does have probably the second most exciting T-Rex scene in any of the films, which is really nice. It's got the river raft scene. We know that from the trailers. And it's done really well. It's done almost perfect justice. It's got a lot of nice tension to it. The T-Rex is very scary in that scene, which is great. It's great to have a return to just a scary T-Rex. Each dino has around equal screen time, which is like a plus and a minus. Every dinosaur feels very contained to their set piece and their part of the movie. If you don't know what I mean, it's just like, it's very much the humans are, there's something I really appreciate about Jurassic Park: The Lost World. Because I don't really love Jurassic Park: The Lost World, but it does feel like the humans are always like threatened by the dinosaurs. There's always a threat of them walking around a corner and there being a dinosaur. And the dinosaurs will follow them, and the dinosaurs will hunt them, and that's scary. This one, they kind of just walk through Dinosaur Park, and the dinosaurs just kind of stay where they are. It's almost like the dinosaurs have natural like zones or territories, which makes sense. But then, you know, they don't leave that. So there's very little dinosaurs meeting other dinosaurs. So it's like there's no standout star dinosaur to the movie. You know, I'd say the standout star of Jurassic Park is the T-Rex. You know, he's kind of the nice end cap, or she is the nice end cap where she appears and she'll come back and she might burst out of the jungle to eat a Gallimimus randomly and scare you, you know? It's like a third line dinosaur through the movie. Same with like The Lost World, as it's pretty much the T-Rex. They show up many times to do some fun stuff. Jurassic Park 3, it's the Spinosaurus. Jurassic World, it's the Indominus, and so on, right? This one, there's no main dinosaur, really. I guess you could argue it's the D-Rex, but I don't think he gets more. He might get slightly more screen time than like the Mutodons or the Spinosaurus, but they're all contained to their set piece. So, yeah, end thoughts for this spoiler-free section is that it's more enjoyable than the World Trilogy on a whole. Feels very much like a Jurassic Park movie. Its cinematography is very nice. It's one of the most beautiful Jurassic Park movies, and the colors are really nice and lush. It's so nice to just have a movie that is just unapologetically like bright. There's none of that like MCU or Wicked color grading where they just make everything gray and bland and brown. Everything in this movie is bright colors, it's a gorgeous film to watch. That long grass scene with the Titanosaurs is just green, completely green. It looks so nice. There's a lot of really nice lighting. I know that's kind of a smaller thing, but a lot of the scenes are really well naturally lit, and it looks great. The dinosaur action is fun, but it's still kind of the same Jurassic World problem where the dinosaurs don't feel like the stars of the film. You know, Jurassic Park feels like it's all about the dinosaurs, which even though they only have like combined 8 minutes of screen time or something, this one, it feels less about the dinosaurs. They feel more incidental. They're much more like I said, a T-Rex does not chase them out of the territory it's in. It's like it just sticks to its little pond and it doesn't show up anywhere else. It's a little lame. All right. Oh, okay. One last thing. I saw this at the movie theater at the AMC, and there's a reason I don't go to movie theaters often. I'm a film major. I'm not a film major. I have a film degree. I graduated. Hell yeah. I don't go to the movie theater often though, despite the film degree, because it just sucks. Two things that were immediately weird. For the trailers, it was letterboxed, and I don't mean the app, I mean the film has borders on it. And it was a really weird thing, where there was borders on the side, and then there were borders on the bottom. So it was like, I'll recreate it in Premiere if I can with this shot. But it was like the film was set in, like the trailers. This was just the trailers. Trailers were set in, and then there was a slightly different color of black for the bars on the side. Like, what is happening at this movie theater that they can't even like properly format the trailers to the screen? You know, it's the same aspect ratio. They just hadn't properly scaled it right. This is amateur hour, right? That might be a smaller thing. That's probably a thing none of you would notice, but I'm sure some of you would and be like, why is this happening? It's weird. The film was formatted fine, really wide screen. I forget what that aspect ratio is called. I mean, it's like the super IMAX or whatever. But the movie theater, AMC, it was way too dark. The actual screen itself it was not dark. It was not bright enough. There were scenes where, you know, clearly they're supposed to be sharp whites. Like the sea is supposed to be, the foam is supposed to be a sharp white color. And the sky is supposed to be a sharp white. And they were like a dull gray, dark. And it was not the movie's fault. It was AMC just not running it correctly. And another problem was that it was not loud enough. It was nowhere near loud enough for, you know, for a movie theater experience. That's why I always watch movies at home, because I got a nice sound system, got a fine TV, so I can control the brightness and I can control how loud it is, right? That's personally, as a film major and just as a person that enjoys watching movies, it's a frustrating thing. Because the really nice thing about watching my movies at home is that when I watch a movie at home, no one can walk in on FaceTime 25 minutes into the movie. Because that happened for Rebirth. Some woman walked in and she came and sat on our row, like maybe 5 or 6 seats down from us, from me and my girlfriend, and she was on FaceTime. She had her AirPods in. She was just talking and laughing, and then after like 5 minutes, she hung up. And everyone in the theaters, especially me, well, you just sitting in her dirty looks. I went over like that at her at one point, because just, what are you doing? You're ruining everybody else's experience, and you're just coming in and being an asshat. I mean, it's... Watch movies at home, guys. Let the movie theater industry die. Why don't we just do that already? That's... Alright, we're gonna get to spoilers. If you do not want spoilers, I'd recommend clicking off the video right now, because you don't want to be spoiled. Alright, just had to check that it was still recording because my camera likes to turn off. This is the second time I've filmed this video. Spoilers. First, I'm going to run through and just list the dinosaurs in the movie. One of my commenters asked me to do this. Here it is. Dinosaurs and extinct species. The most excited I was in this movie was this one scene fairly early on where they reveal the most exciting thing. I actually yelled at the screen. Oh! You know, it was genuinely like a, oh! moment. I could not handle it. There's a Dunkleostes in this movie. Where'd he come from? So exciting. So great. It's not alive. It's dead. It's just the decapitated head of one, but it is still in the movie. Mattel, please. Dunkleostes. Put it in the main line. Put it in the Hammond collection. Put it up my butt. I don't care. I want a Dunkleostes. It's an amazing fish, bony fish, extinct thing, and I'd love it. So yeah, they go to meet Duncan Kincaid at his little place, and it's kind of like an outpost. It's like a fish camp kind of deal. and all the fishing boats are bringing in their catches, and one of them has a big net, and I think they cut it open, that doesn't even make sense, but they cut it open and a bunch of fish spill out, and also the head of a Dunkleosteus, which is, at first I thought it was just a boulder dropping out of the net, and then I was freaking out in the theater. I don't remember the next 20 seconds of the film because my mind was solely on the Dunkleosteus, and I think I repeated 4 or 5 times to my girlfriend while grabbing her arm. I was like, Dunkleosteus! It was exciting. Next, in the same scene, there was a miniature pteranodon, and I don't mean a Rhamphorhynchus or, a Dimorphodon or like the other one. No, it looked exactly like the Pteranodon from the end of the Lost World. Blue and gray with yellow, and it was just maybe this big, had a wingspan of like that. And it was just sitting in a cage, hanging from like inside the bar where, Duncan's just sitting. That was just weird. Dr. Loomis goes up and pokes it in its cage. What? What? How? I don't know. Whatever. It's not even like it's small or babyfied. It is just a proportionally miniature pteranodon. I thought it was supposed to be like a toy at first, but no, it's like a living thing. That was confusing. There's an eel/reptile thing. That's the big swamp scene. Another comment asked about this, if there's actually a swamp monster. Yeah, there is, but it is more of that rough thing where they underplay it for like a bit. Where they're walking through the swamp and you see a fin kind of go through the water, kind of like Dagobah, Luke Skywalker, is that kind of deal, right? And Zora Bennett, like a minute later, because this was a thing that frustrated me through the movie. They're walking on Dinosaur Island, and this group of people is always having the loudest conversation possible, right? They're talking so much. It's Dinosaur Island. There could be a velociraptor right there. That's like what I said. The dinosaurs feel like they're all reserved to their zones, and these are the safe places where you can walk and have a really loud conversation, and nobody cares for some reason. But they are loudly talking their way through this swamp, and Zora Bennett is like, oh, something brushed my leg, everybody, watch out. And then 2 seconds later, she's just back to talking like nothing happened. I guess you can't do anything about that, but like, freak out and jump out of the swamp, right? They just keep going. And then they get to like the riverbank they're trying to go to, and they get out, and then one of the dudes just keeps standing in the water. And I'm like, okay, so this is a good setup for something to attack them. And they just keep having their discussion for maybe another minute, and then nothing actually like attacks him. Just like a big tendril of it kind of, comes out of the water and creates a splash. I don't know what creature it is. It's like a big red, long, it's kind of like a mottled blood red kind of thing. And it's very reptilian looking. It's definitely not fish, and it's definitely not snake or amphibian. It's like a dinosaur texture to it. What's the name of that thing? It's not Tupendactylus, that's a pteranodon. It's a Tetrafaunus? Looks like a Tetrafaunus if I'm thinking of the right thing. But again, you never see its head or its body. We just see what might be its neck or its tail. Anorgnathus is in this. Anorgnathus, is that how you pronounce it? That was really exciting. I like seeing him. But he doesn't... It's always, we see flocks of them, and we see groups of them flying through the air around the titanosaurs and in the background and stuff. And they don't really get a close-up shot. There's one close-up shot where you see one, and it's very small. It's very fast as well. It's bright green. It's featherless. You never actually see the... Oh, sorry, baby. You never actually see the face of it up close, which was like a little upsetting to me, because I was like, okay, well, it's just like a background dinosaur. There was also an amphibian that shows up twice. It has like a long nose, snout, and a slight ridge sail along its back that's maybe like half an inch tall. It's maybe like a 3-4 foot amphibian. I have no idea what species it was. I Googled a bunch of Permian amphibians trying to just match it from memory. I could not. From searching on Google, I could not. It might just be like a fictional species of amphibian because I could not tell. It might be a reptile. I'm not sure. It looked very amphibious. There was an ankylosaurus there. I didn't see that in any of the material, promotional stuff. There is an ankylosaurus. It's in one shot. It looks very nice. It looked like a new design. It didn't look like the World one, and it didn't look like the Rebirth one, or like the Jurassic Park 3 one. There is Parasaurolophus. I think that was confirmed, but it is, in the final version, it is still the Dominion one, which does not make sense because I forget, because I only watched Dominion once, because why would you watch that again? There's obviously the tan one, which is engines, and I don't remember if the blue and brown one is biosins or engines. If it's biosins, then it makes no sense why it's on this island. That makes no sense. Even if it is engines, it still makes very little sense why it's on this island, because this island was abandoned 17 years ago, right? Which is, like, if they didn't make that Parasaurolophus till Jurassic World, then it wouldn't have been on that island as well. I don't know. Oh, and then there's a red and blue Procompsognathus, which is very pretty. I really like it. I'd love a life-size toy of it. Please, Mattel. I'll give you anything. You know, it's slightly upscaled. It's a little bit more realistically sized for Procompsognathus. It's about this big. And it's just a nice Spider-Man color scheme to it. It's very long and lithe, but it's a lot more full-bodied than like the Jurassic Park Compsognathus. That's why I call it Procompsognathus, the actual name. We all have seen the scene. I get Compy is a more like catchy name than Procompsognathus, but there is no dinosaur named Compsognathus. That's not a dinosaur name. It's Procompsognathus. It's like if they called Tyrannosaurus Rex Ranosaurus just to shorten it. Why? It's called its full name. It's kind of silly. Speaking of T-Rex, this is the next section I'd like to talk about, which is size problems. The film has size problems. Gareth Edwards' 2014 Godzilla is a film I really like. It feels like a worse version of Jaws, if that makes sense. That's still a compliment, because Jaws is like an amazing movie, you know? Being a worse version of Jaws, it's not that bad. A problem with that movie, though, that's not that apparent, is that Godzilla is always changing size in that movie. He's like maybe 400 feet tall, you know, he looks that big. Some scenes he looks like 300 feet tall. It's just like dependent on whatever shot you need him to be, he's that size, you know? Which I'm kind of okay with for Godzilla, you know? He's usually against like a city building or like a mountain or the ocean where it's like, it doesn't really matter how big he is, you know? He could be whatever size and still work. And it's not too noticeable that they're rescaling him. Here, with the D-Rex, it is painfully obvious that they are always rescaling it to be however big it needs for the shot or gag. And it's to the point where it's really obvious. And that, I know this is kind of an anal retentive point, but it's the same thing where it's like the film didn't feel like it was taking itself seriously for whenever it pulled stuff like this. Mosasaurus has always been oversized in the Jurassic franchise, but here it doesn't feel bigger. It actually feels smaller than the Jurassic World blue Mosasaurus, this fella. But there's a line that is really funny because the dad, Ruben, I think was his name, at one point he's trying to describe it to like Zora Bennett and Loomis and all that, and he's like, it was maybe 50 or 60 feet long. Brother, are we looking at the same thing? The schooner they're in, the boat they're on, is 100 feet long. And the Mosasaurus is twice, if not like 2.5 times longer than the boat. It is pushing 200 feet, you know? And he calls it maybe 50, 60 feet long when the Mosasaurus is big enough to swallow the sailboat they were in. And he calls it like 60 feet long. No, that's insanity. That was just a line that made me laugh, and it clearly was not supposed to be a joke, you know? The D-Rex, like I said, is the biggest offender, literally. So, the film opens with a prologue 17 years in the past, where we see the D-Rex in its cage. And then there's like a security breach where a guy dies. We picked up on that from the trailer. Very similar to the start of Gareth Edwards' Godzilla. Interesting. And the the D-Rex, is small enough that it fits in that room, which has a ceiling which is maybe 18 feet tall at the tallest, maybe 15 feet tall. And you could make an argument that the D-Rex isn't fully grown in this scene, right? But that argument feels like a cheap out because it clearly looks fully grown. In the present day, when we see it, it is twice that size easily because it walks past the building and it's twice the height of the building, right? There's no feasible way it could even fit its arms and its head through the door. It's too big. There's one scene that this bit is maybe 5 minutes apart from each other. The D-Rex eats a person. I'm not gonna say who, but it eats a person. And when it eats that person, it picks it up and, puts him in his mouth. This is the guy, and this is the D-Rex. This is a Spinosaurus, of course. He's in its jaws like this, and you can see his arms hanging out of the side and his legs. So the jaw, if you took that guy and rotated him and put him next to the head, it makes the head of the D-Rex from chin to top of the head maybe 8-9 feet. Scaling it like that, it's 10 feet tall, we're going to call it. Bottom of the chin, top of the head, 8. And then there's a shot, maybe 5 minutes before that in the movie, where the D-Rex eats a large object, okay? If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It eats a large object, an object that is easily 30 feet long, and, a large object. And in scale, for the D-Rex to pick this up and eat it, the D-Rex his head would have to be 25 feet. Its jaws would have to be larger than a megalodon's to fit this object in its mouth. Where's the scaling? In that shot, it is easily 150 feet tall. I'm not even kidding. Because you even see it because it's standing in water, but you can still see so much of it above the buildings and the surrounding trees that it's massive. It's gigantic. But then in some shots later, it's maybe 60 feet tall. And then sometimes it looks like 15 feet tall. Where is the scaling going? That's just kind of ridiculous. That was breaking my immersion of the movie a lot. We'll move on from that. One interesting thing is the Mutodon replaced the two-headed Velociraptor. I think some leak had already said this a while ago. But the two-headed Velociraptor that it shows in a lot of the trailers and promotional stuff is not in the finished movie. In fact, Velociraptor is not in the finished movie really at all. That really surprised me. Because, I feel like that's been one of the main dinosaurs in the promotional material, and even in the toy line upcoming for the movie, is the Velociraptor. Velociraptor is in this film for, I would estimate, maybe 15 seconds of screen time. There's another scene that's played like a joke, where one of the characters is taking a pee, and he has his back to the jungle, to an open field behind him, and a Velociraptor, 2 of them on both sides, start creeping up behind him and moving in for the kill. And then a Mutodon jumps down out of nowhere and tears the Velociraptor apart and then flies off with it. And all of that, the literal focus of the camera is on the character peeing. And you don't see Velociraptor in focus for this film at all. It's entirely in the background, out of focus. We never see it again in the movie. It gets maybe 20 seconds screen time max, out of focus, background character, punchline of a joke. Be that what it is, That line from the trailer where he's like, is that a raptor or whatever? Not in the movie at all. Did not make it. Hopefully that's all the fun dinosaur spoilers you wanted. I'm going to respond to some comments now. I think this is the first of 2 reviews I'll make on this movie. One of my friends I want to have over, and I think we'll do a sit down and we'll just talk about our thoughts about the movie, our feelings. Because I get this has been a very technical talk about the film. At Malachite says, hope you had fun. I did. Thank you, Malachite. Love you guys. Torvosaurus fan says, how did you even get early access? Well, I explained that at the start of the video. Hopefully that answers your question. At Scrap It Cool says, I know no spoilers, but could you at least say if there was an actual swamp monster? There was. Did we get to see it? No. Was it a Tetraphonus? Maybe. Who knows? In my headcanon, that was a Tetraphonus, and we'll get a Hammond collection of it next year. How the Hammond collection likes to do random figures, I genuinely bet you we'll get Hammond collection Dunkleostes and Hammond collection Tetraphonus before we get D-Rex or Spinosaurus from this movie, just because why not, you know? At Large Forehead says, dude, when you're gonna review Hammond collection Stego? Probably a while. I think I'll wait for him for a bit. I've got a couple reviews I'd like to make. I obviously want to make a review on that figure, but I haven't even got it in the mail yet. And I'd like to review a couple figures like the Diplodocus, and I want to get the Biden Blast Mosasaurus. So it might be 2 or 3 weeks till I get around to even like opening and reviewing that figure. Oh boy, I hate to do this to you. At Asset87_edits says, hopefully 87 is in it. I'm sorry, they 86 to 87. He's not in this movie. The Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus. Yeah, no appearance in the film. I'm sorry about that, guys. At DeTomsters, hey buddy, he said, if it made you yell, then we need it in figure form. We need a Dunkleostes in figure form. I want that immediately. He's such a silly goober. I really want him. At Chris Curungan 8421 says, can you tell me at least if the Carnotaurus appears? I get there was a bunch of rumors and discussion about Diabloceratops and Carnotaurus appearing in this film, because there was a Funko Pop of both, and I've even seen like artwork of both that was rumored to be like official, but I don't think it was. Yeah, because they're not in the film. I'm sorry. I was really hoping for Diabloceratops. That was going to be exciting. But neither of them are in there. I'm trying to remember if there are any more questions people have asked recently about the movie. If you leave a comment on this video, I'll try to answer it respectfully. I don't really want to give away, any big spoilers. I'm sure you'll find out eventually, but I really believe in just experiencing the movie for yourself and not having it spoiled beforehand. So I hope I didn't spoil anything too important, but alright. This has been Gary the Gremlin. Oh no, my Pyroraptor.